Hello, YouTubers! Welcome back to the Titanic Sink series, episode 2. Today we're looking at chapters 3 and 4. Enjoy. Well, chapter 2 and... Yeah, you guys get what I mean. The next 3 chapters. Enjoy. Chapter 2. Thursday, April 11th, 1912. Dusk. After that rocky start, the first leg of the Titanic's voyage turned out to be smooth sailing. The ocean liner arrived at ship woke France on Wednesday, April 10th. Time schedule. There had dozens of passengers join the ship, including John and Jacob Astor and his young wife Madeline. Astor was one of the richest men alive. He and his friends bride spent months honeymooning here. Now they returned to their home in New York. On Thursday, the Titanic steamed to Queenstown, Ireland. There, the ship dropped its anchors, of 31 tons in them, and 12 passengers came aboard. Most of those who joined the ship at Queenstown were immigrants. Leaving Ireland to start new lives in the United States. Soon the Titanic was off again, steaming quickly away from the highly random mountains of Ireland's western coast. Nathan liked it. Dark green ocean lay ahead. The ship made its way to the beautiful scarlet sunset. One man aboard, Jay, Bruce, and May. As the Titanic entered the open sea, his mate was managing director of the White Star Line, the company that owned the RMS Titanic, was personally overseeing the Titanic's first voyage, as he did with all his company's ships. This man was not worried about the ship's safety. Are the mattresses firm enough? This man wondered. The new potato peeler helped the crew keep up the base. The cigars holders added to the first class bathrooms. So he ordered. His mate's mind was on the 1,001 details that would make the Titanic private passengers' eyes. He considered it his job to make sure every detail was taken care of. Despite his concerns for the comfort of his passengers, his mate could not help but be filled with pride. The Titanic was his company's greatest achievement. His mate's father had ended the White Star Line more than 40 years before. The company's steamships took people across the Atlantic between Europe and North America. It was a big business, and the White Star Line had a lot of competition. In recent years, other companies have built ships that could make the trip faster than White Stars. In 1907, this made a sailed on the strategy for being a company. Other companies might run faster ships, but White Star could offer nervous passengers the biggest, most comfortable, safest ships in the world. On May 11, 1911, White Star Line were the first of its newly used ships, the Olympic. Passengers were all by science and comfort. As we found that the line's next ship, the Titanic, would be even better. Now, as he stood on the deck of the Titanic, this man knew he owned the most finest ship, with the most skilled crew available aboard. Commanding the ship was Edward J. Smith, one of the best loved and most respected ship captains in the world. When he was crowning his 25-year career, like flying the magnificent Titanic on her main voyage. After this last ship, he planned to retire. Captain Smith was tall, bold, and handsome. With a snow white beard, everyone called him EJ. I've never been in any accident of any sort before speaking about that was in the interview. Short. Or sighting sail on the Titanic. I never saw that, and I'd never been wrecked. He has moments like describing his record. Captain Smith had every reason to believe that this voyage would be a smooth one. He had 397 officers, engineers, and crewsmen under his command. Each one was a experienced seaman. Also, the Titanic boasted all the latest safety features. In fact, the Technical Journal shipbuilder declared the Titanic to be virtually unsinkable. The Titanic had 10 decks. That's like the stories of the building. On the very top of the ship was the boat deck, with first and second class passengers could so enjoy the sea air. The ship's bridge was provided its officers with a sweeping view of the sea to the front of the Titanic's boat deck. The boat deck was also where the lifeboats were stored. The Titanic carried 16 lifeboats and 4 Castle mini lifeboats. 4 more lifeboats than for this quiet ship her size. The other decks were designed A foot E, with A being uppermost. On each desk were the cabins, common rooms, lounges, smoking rooms, storage areas, galley and the other space used by the 2,200 passengers and crew members. On those upper decks, the Titanic was divided into a series of watertight compartments by 15 steel walls, called bulkheads, that ran from one side of the ship to the other. Bulkheads ascended as high as E deck, well above the waterline. Through the bulkheads, passengers and crew members passed through watertight doors that could be sealed and insulated with a single swift on the ship's bridge. In the unlikely event the Titanic sprang a leak, up to 4 compartments could take on water without causing the ship to sink. The bottom deck was called the tank top. Here, a dozen of greasers made sure the ship's huge engines were greased and ran smoothly. The tank top were also where workers shovel coal into the 149 furnaces and the Titanic's 29 enormous boilers. The boilers heated water and turned into steam. The pressure of the steam powered the engines, which turned the Titanic's three huge propellers. Finally, at the very bottom of the Titanic was a double-hulled keel. Even if the keel was punctured, water would kept out of the rest of the ship. All in all, the Titanic was as ship-shape as an A vessel afloat in 1912. Still, Captain Smith knew that not everything was perfect for his ship or crew. Without taking quick thinking to avoid the collision with the New York and Southampton, most of his crew had joined the Titanic just before it sailed. They were still struggling to find a way around the huge ship. But as the Titanic steamed away from Ireland to the night in the open ocean, Captain Smith had to be pleased with the ship, the largest vessel afloat. Chapter 3. Friday, April 12, 1912. Morning. The skies were clear and sunny, so the Titanic made its way across the Atlantic Ocean on Friday and Saturday. In that perfect weather, passengers enjoyed life aboard the Wells Grey ship. For first and second class passengers, the Titanic was more like a luxury hotel than an ocean-going vessel. Even most of the passengers in first class found the Titanic more comfortable than the home on shore bed. 17-year-old Jack Ada was traveling with his parents in first class. Jack's father was a wealthy railroad executive, and his family was prominent in Philadelphia society. The players were able to take advantage of the best the Titanic had to offer. One of 518 stewards on board. Most of the time, specifically, to Jack and his family. It was steward's job to take care of their every need. He polished their shoes, picked up their laundry, and called them to meals. Most of the 337 first class passengers of the Titanic were used to that sort of service. Many of the wealthiest people were on board. The quarters and meeting rooms were an essential part of the ship, when the ship's engines were the quietest. The players stayed in elegant staterooms, like a suite in a luxury hotel. Jack had a room to himself, and his parents' room was connected to a comfortable seat room. The only telltale sign that the players actually were right. You had life jackets, so in each cabin. Traveling on the Titanic was an exciting new adventure. You couldn't wait to leave the stateroom, so one of the ship's other rooms and passages. On the first class section of the board deck, Jack saw the ship's gymnasium, then instructor G.W. McClawley. Despite a little Englishman not to show off the sales bikes and co-horses and camels. On the equipment, to help first class passengers keep fit. On the deck outside the gymnasium were a few of the ship's lifeboats. There was a beneath the small cranes called decks. Twits. And go lower them to the ocean. Next, Jack wandered down the giant staircase. Down the grand staircase. The ship's most impressive feature. The ceiling above the staircase was covered with glass skylight. which allowed the sun rays to shine on the polished wood paneling, the guided handcart stair rails. The staircase led down from the bulk deck all the way to D deck, 4 flights below. If a passenger wasn't in the mood to walk, he or she could take one of 3 elevators up the stairs. Each deck in first class offered attractions to please the richest, most demanding passenger. First class passengers could relax in the last one on A deck. The last was the fine furniture. There's hand card paneling was lit by bicycle chandeliers. There was also a plush smoking lounge for passengers like Major Archie Butt, President William Howard Taft's closest aide, sat up late into the night playing cards and smoking cigars. On deck beneath the smoking house was Cafe Passiton. It was designed to look like a Paris Bristol, an elegant first-class dining saloon. The passengers enjoyed 8-course gourmet meals, with the largest room of fruit. What if a passenger overdated at the dining table? They were playing chances to walk it off. So I said gymnasium up on the boat deck. When Titanic goes out a steam bath, full-size squash court. Even at it's been rainfall. Never before had there been such a ship. And Titanic was the most amazing wreck play I'd ever seen. 12-year-old Ruth Deckard was honest impressed with the Titan and shocked as her slicking by shipmates were. Maybe that was because Ruth's parents were missionaries, and the family already made many sea voyages. Also, as second class passengers, the Beckets were not allowed to enter the ship's best sections. Still, second class on the Titanic was as comfortable as first class on most other ships. Ruth shared a large cabin on F deck with her mother Nellie, 4-year-old sister Marion, and baby brother Richard. Aunt Deckard, whose father was in India and could not make the family trip. Up 2 flights of stairs on D deck was the second-class dining saloon, where Ruth and the 270 other second-class passengers ate delicious meals on long tables covered with scratched linen tablecloths. When she got bored, Liv could go up to the second-class library on C deck. This handled room and hundreds of books for passengers to choose from. They can also check the ship's progress, which was shown on the map on Atlantic Ocean posted in the library. Outside the library was a closed-in walkway and promenade was became the unofficial playground for children in second class. Most passengers, adults, and children alike socialized and made friends with their fellow passengers. Ruth, a mature, quiet girl, kept to herself. She took it upon herself to look after baby Richard, who was sick. Unlike Ruth, third-class passenger Daniel Buckley like to make friends and have fun. But it wasn't as easy for the 21-year-old to mingle with the other passengers. Buckley was leaving Ireland to move to the United States. His grand quarters were he shared with three other young men were on G deck, the lowest deck for passengers, and the very front of the Titanic. Unlike the rooms for first and second class passengers, third class quarters were plain and simple, with dark white walls and wooden bunks. They get fresh air and exercise. I had to climb recess to 6 to D deck. There you could stroll out on the front wheel deck. The ship. Women see flies above and behind the wheel deck with the windows of the ship's bridge. Front was the tall mast holding the ship's crow nest. Beyond that was the ship's bow, allowing through the cold Titanic. Unfortunately, there wasn't as much to do on the middle deck, and the April wind whipping off the Titanic. An April wind whipping off the Atlantic could be bitterly cold. To visit the woman laying third-class lounge smoking room underneath, Daniel the others had to walk all the way to the stern of the Titanic. In each common rooms, the 712 third-class passengers. Jurors could gather to sit on playing on the benches, talk and play cards, or sing and dance. Only first and second class, where passengers were mostly English American. Third class buzzed with many languages. People from England, Ireland, France, Poland, Italy, Scandinavia, Middle East, and Asia all shared the third class lounge. Many large families, all of them single men and women, were glad to join the main voyage of the Titanic. For most, it was their first trip across the ocean, when they expected it to be their last. They were on their way to start new lives in America. At least Daniel and the first-class passengers would touch their legs as they walked through the ship. That wasn't the case for 21-year-old Howard Bright. Howard Bright was the junior wireless telegraph operator for the Titanic. His life involved around a tiny wireless office tucked behind the ship's bridge, where he took turns with the senior wireless operator, Jack Phillips. The Titanic had the most powerful radio any ship afloat, and could reach ships hundreds of miles away. The wireless operator on duty sat in headphones and they writing down radio messages received in Morse code while typing out messages to be sent. It was Bright and Phil's job to keep the wireless going 24 hours a day. When he wasn't busy at work, I would crawl behind through the curtains separating the wireless office from the bunk alongside, though he would sleep soundly until his next shift. Bright, working on the huge luggage ship, the Titanic was no different from his previous jobs at other ships. But most of the passengers' messages Bright sent were trivial greetings from passengers to friends ashore. If Bright had any complaint, it was that he didn't have much to do. That was to change. Chapter 4. Saturday, April 13th, 1912, afternoon. Everything is going well, Bruce told Captain Smith. I was just relaxing in first class reception room. Couldn't help but overhear the two men talking. It was, it was early Saturday afternoon, and Titanic was in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. So far, the voyage had been perfect. The weather, though cold, had been clear. The sea was calm, and the Titanic was making excellent time. The passengers were glad to hear the captain and along the ship sounding so confident. Lucy and Captain Smith could praise the Titanic's performance with that of his sister ship, the Olympic. In its first day at sea, the Titanic had covered 484 miles. The Olympic had traveled 458 miles on its first day. The second day, the Titanic fell behind in a bit. I made 519 miles compared to Olympic's 524. So far, the Titanic was steaming as fast as the Olympic had in full voyage. Could the Titanic pick up the pace and now to her sister ship? We made a better run today than we did yesterday, his mate told Captain Smith. We'll make a better run tomorrow. Things are working smoothly and the machinery is bearing the test. It wasn't working well. This man got on and excited. Let's first stand on to the arm of his chair. We will beat the Olympic and get into New York on Tuesday, he declared. Although the Titanic's pilots and this were performing well, while all the ship systems were perfect. Late in the day on Saturday, Starlight and Jack Phillips noticed something wrong with the ship's wireless. For long, it had broken down completely. The two men worked furiously to find the trouble. All started night until early morning hours on Sunday. They failed with the set. Meanwhile, passengers' messages piled up in basket, heading about 5 o'clock on Sunday morning. Wills and Ray got the wireless to ring again. Again, sent out Will's backlog of messages, if any. Queen gave them a sense of relief. It was knowing that soon they would come within range of North America. This meant they could send their messages directly to a wireless station. The messages would be passed through immediately to their destination, then being relayed from ship to ship. As the Titanic's passengers woke up on Sunday morning, they were greeted by beautiful weather. Only one thing spoiled the fine day. The air grew colder. So most passengers had to pass the time indoors. Daniel Buckley and some first class passengers waited the trail to come out on the rear wheel deck and the boat deck. There in the bright, cold sunshine, they played a skipping game similar to hopscotch. Another passenger came out with a set of night bombs on which he played sad tunes. Meanwhile, first class passenger Archibald Gracie was feeling restless after 2 days with no exercise. Early Sunday morning, he headed down the G deck. He played it. So he just game of squash. Then went for a swim in the 8th hole, tossed around the corner from the court. The warm water was still comfortable, unlike the icy ocean, kept out by the steel hull of the ship. Less than a thick itch, where Gracie could almost touch the side of the pool. The second class staying saloon, Ruth Becker, was going to like the Titanic. Best part of that was that everything was new. With like no one that wasn't set down for bust me aboard the ship. She was the very first person to eat off the plane and find her. The sheets in the bed in her cabin were crisp and fresh. She was the first person ever to use them. Even the carpets in the lounges and nice zones smelled new. To breakfast with the rest of her family stayed in the night saloon for Sunday services. The highlight of the service was the hymns. This Sunday the room was filled with the sounds of Andrew's singing, "Oh God, my help," and each passed. Up in the officer quarters, Captain Sim was faced with the decision. There had been a lifeboat drill scheduled for 11:30 on Sunday morning. For the drill, each crew member would have to proceed to the below boat deck and take his position by the emergency lifeboats. As Captain E.J. knew how important it was for his crew to be prepared for emergency. Still, the Titanic was awfully a very safe ship. Like anyone would ever need a lifeboat to swim. What's more, the weather had turned colder. While the lifeboat drill out an open boat deck was supposed to screw to the facing wind. Finally, if he held the drill schedule, Captain Smith would be able to conduct Sunday services in first class dining saloon. Means Sunday services was one of two favorite parts of being a ship's captain. This was, after all, his last voyage. Seeing as Sheena gave up the chance to one final service for his first class passengers, many of whom were his friends. Captain Smith decided to cancel the lifeboat drill. At the same time, he ordered two more of the Titanic spoils to be lit. The ship built up even more steam and paddled for the frigid water faster than ever. Thank you so much for watching. Next time I'm looking at chapters 5 to 6.